You are now listening to the Serious Growth Podcast with your host, Leo Costa Jr.
Hey, everybody out there in Serious Growth Wonderland. How you guys doing today? I'm doing pretty damn good. I will say this, though, and I've said it like all along throughout these podcasts. Sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better. I'm bothered by a lot of stuff, but it keeps me coming back. First, I have a whole bunch of things here on my desk, like notes that you guys can't see, that I'm going to see if I can talk about today. Stuff that just came to my mind. One of the things is, years ago, I wrote this a book called Exposing Fake Trainers. And the reason why I wrote that, it's kind of obvious, but the reason why I wrote that was because my thought was it could be used as a tool to help protect unsuspecting consumers, because they don't really know when they go to a personal trainer. As a consumer, sometimes with me, I'm putting my hands, like I just put my hands in some experts to buy a house in Italy. Hell, I don't know. I mean, I ask the kind of questions I think I should ask, but at the end of the day, the point that I'm making here is I'm having to rely on that person that's the expert in that field, especially from afar. So with clients coming to these trainers, my idea was just to give them a tool that they can use. This exposing fake trainers, or I like to take it a step even further, is exposing fake experts, kind of one and the same in some ways, but it's a tool to use, because let me tell you something. The industry is loaded with all kinds of trainers and fake experts and all that kind of stuff. So I want to keep making sure that for those of you that are listening, that there's this tool, Exposing Fake Trainers, will be a great tool for you if you want to gather more knowledge. The book is really loaded with talking about a lot of the stuff that's just not mainstream in the industry, because most people don't understand what's really going on in the world of personal training. They just sort of gloss over that, and that's the reason why it's important to, if you're getting with a trainer, make sure that they are a student of the game. And it's the book will help you ask the right kind of questions. Speaking of that, not too long ago, I had a conversation with somebody that is a trainer. I love talking to these people, and one of the questions that I asked them, and this should be the one question that if you are enlisting a trainer, or if you are taking people's advice, if they're guiding you that way, is what's your USP? And for those of you out there that don't know what exactly that means, it means what is your unique selling proposition, selling point as an expert, as a trainer. There's all kinds of people out there. That's what you have to really understand. There's so many people out there. When I was coming through in 82, there were a lot of people out there, but nothing like now when you have social media the way it is. So this makes it even a more important question to ask if you're talking with a trainer. So I always like to ask, because, when I bring people on, look, we're all to a degree, and I'm that way too, and I have been in the past when I was younger and dumber, is we think that we have all the information that's the next best thing since sliced bread. And so it's not uncommon, and that's okay. That's a part of the process of evolving and really becoming a master in your field, because I think that we should use these different distinctions between people that are, experts versus people that are masters, because masters take it to a whole new level. Robbie Robinson, people like that, that's the shit right there, man. But I asked this person, they're a trainer. I said, well, what is your unique selling proposition? And they looked at me like they didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, what makes you unique? I mean, there's a personal trainer on every corner. Why am I going to come give you money, especially a lot of money in some cases? So what is your unique selling point? It's okay to say that you have the next best thing and you have the next best training and this, that, and the other. And their answer was, All right, let's take a quick break so I can tell you about our product.
Do you want a bone-crushing grip? Good, because you're gonna get one with the amazing new TRS Gripper. It's a progressive grip builder with longer handles and a special ergonomic design that's like a dozen hand grippers in one. Start off easy and work your way up to quickly build your grip strength from wet noodle to pulverizing. The package includes a video from the world-famous strength coach, Dr. Russ Horine, the man who worked with Leo Costa to help bring you big beyond belief in the Bulgarian Power Burst. Dr. Horine shows you a simple and easy to follow workout plan that takes just minutes a day right from in front of your TV set if you want. So click on the link below and let's get started building you a stronger, firmer, bone-crushing grip.
My customer care. Well, that's okay. And for maybe that's going to work for somebody, like I said, a consumer that's coming and working with that trainer. I mean, they elaborated on that customer care, but what they didn't do was they didn't tell me exactly what was unique about their training system, about their supplements, other than the fact that they used the supplements, but they really couldn't tell me what was really unique about that. Because you know what, as it relates to training programs and supplements, I will tell you, as someone who's talking straight to you, most training systems don't work, especially to the degree that they are being professed to work. They don't. Either do supplements. Most of them will always disappoint you. I mean, number one, not every supplement that you take, to be fair, you're going to feel. That's not how it works. There are ways to determine lab work, for example, but if you're just taking a supplement, a lot of times you're not going to feel protein, except for the fact that when you take protein, when you first start taking protein, sometimes it upsets your stomach and you'll have, diarrhea for a couple of days, and then your body will adapt to that. I mean, but that's not the kind of, you don't want it to work that way. But to actually feel it, a lot of times you don't feel certain supplements. And so that's a problem. But for someone who's in it at a level where you're a student of the game, I've talked about that before, because that's huge. And knowing this stuff to the nth degree, that changes the game, because you can express what you might be, how that particular supplement may work for you. But just simply saying, well, I take my own supplements and I know they work, that's crap. And anybody that's going to somebody that's not giving you specific terms as to what makes them unique, that's a huge flag. I mean, what I don't want you to do is get caught up emotionally. When you're wanting to get in shape, the emotions that you're building up because in anticipation, is your emotions sometimes gets in the way, and you end up making some really bad choices because of that. So I want to caution you that, look, I like it when my clients are emotional about wanting to get in shape, but from a client standpoint, keep your emotions in check. And hopefully you go in with some very specific questions to them. So if you're putting me on your supplements, what can I expect? If you're putting me on your nutrition program, what can I expect from your nutrition? How many pounds of weight am I going to be losing? If it's more than 2 pounds, I would, again, that's unless you're doing some real specific stuff for bodybuilding where you have to push the body a little bit harder. But they need to be able to tell you in layman terms so you can understand that what makes them unique. And I'll tell you something else. If a trainer's not willing to back up their program with a money back guarantee, as far as I'm concerned, you should be running for the hills, because they don't really believe in their product, or perhaps they just don't have enough experience and enough information to believe in that. I've always been a believer, and I've always given money back guarantees to people with the idea and the customer coming on or the client coming on, they know that they have to be a part of their program. It's not just a money back guarantee. You have to be, as a client, you have to be a part of that. So I'm going to tell you, as your trainer, not necessarily what you want to hear just to get your sale. I'm going to tell you what to really expect. And the problem in the industry, as far as I'm concerned, is too many people are just selling the dream, which is important. In other words, what you're going to end up looking at. They sell the dream and they sell the shiny object, which it's a smart thing to do if you're that person that's trying to get money out of that client, because they're immediately engaging emotion. That's what I'm talking about. But you know, my philosophy and the way that I go about this stuff is I let you know, I give you the true talk. Yeah, you're going to get some remarkable results, but make no mistake, you're going to have to put work into it, especially on the front end, because the front end is where the foundation is built, and that takes a while. That takes a process, and if you can't really, as a trainer, make that person understand that they're going to have to put a certain amount of time in, because people fail all the time. And they fail for the reasons because they are always looking at the end goal and the shiny object, and that they forget about the steps along the way. It's really important. So be careful of a trainer that doesn't talk about those kinds of things. Okay. Now, some other things that bother me a little bit, and I mentioned that I think one time on one of the shows, but it's there's so many people that talk about science and the science of this and the science of that, and as it relates to muscle, putting on muscle, and this is actually holds true for in other areas, but muscle is not built on science, at least in the first stages of putting on muscle. It's not built on that. Science is an important element to be able to refer to. Science backs up what firsthand experience and how working around how your physiology works. Application, that's what comes first. Anyway, be careful when guys or gals are talking, you know, this is backed by the science, and all you have to do is, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to get this response. That's a half truth. And I would not, I personally would not hire somebody that was talking based on science. And there's a lot of people that are doing it out there. I want you to give me, as a trainer, I want you to give me based on the firsthand experience, because you know what? Not all of our bodies work the same. Our physiology, we're mostly the same, but we're really different in a lot of ways. So simply just going by the book on something and thinking that it's going to give you a result, the same result, is hogwash. And anybody that tells you that it does, obviously they haven't had enough experience in the trenches. And firstly, trying it on themselves. Show me what you've done. I can show you what I've done. It's taken a hell of a long time. I can produce people who I've trained for bikinis competition, for bodybuilding, for powerlifting, for athletes that are at the college level, at the pro level. I can show you. I can produce that. And again, I'm not saying that there are some people out there that are so smart that they can do that without, they can do it with just pure knowledge and not having any in the trenches application. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. For the most part, you have to experience this first as a trainer, as somebody like myself. I had experienced this myself. I tried everything that I did with other people. I did all of that myself first. And if a trainer doesn't have that kind of experience and that kind of background, consumer, beware. That doesn't mean that you can't enlist that person. But if you're wanting to get the most out of your program, because trust me, you don't have time to waste. It's hard enough as it is to change the body on whatever you're trying to do, whether it be adding muscle, increasing your endurance, dropping body fat. To do all that kind of stuff, it's pretty complex. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's pretty darn complex. Physiology is amazing. And when I say physiology, I am including your mind. And over the years, what I've learned about the mind is that I believe that it is the most important factor and element if you think that you're going to succeed. And with that being said, how do you know? How do you know if you're going to succeed? Well, you don't. Not really. I mean, what you have to have in order to give yourself the best chances, besides the fact now that you have, again, whether you have learned yourself, you've developed this program that is going to put on, I like to get back to muscle because I'm a meathead bodybuilder. Unless you've taken care of all that process, and then now you're trying to achieve maybe something at the highest level, especially when you're trying to achieve at the highest level. In this case, I mean, getting up on stage. For me, that is the highest level. And I think that it's relative, because when you first start, that's as relative and as important as getting up on stage at a higher level, like a national, world. I think those are all very important. To take yourself, or for you to be working with somebody that takes you from novice, beginner, and to get you ready for a competition, how do you know if you're going to succeed? Obviously, what you have to do is check all the boxes as far as the things that you have to do. A wild eyelash today. You have to check the box off, and that's the thing that you must do. Okay, so here's, I call it the stated goal. Here's my stated goal, whatever that is. Now, it's for this stated goal, what is it that I have to do? So you have to check those boxes, okay? But aside from that, I can tell you this. I know for sure what you have to have is perfect willingness. I know for sure that you have to be willing to look forward to pain and suffering and enjoy that. Because, the truth of the matter is you're going to have days. I had one today. It started last night. I knew I had back, training my back. Back for me is harder to train than legs. And I was like talking myself out of doing T-bar rows last night already. And I know myself, and I know better than that. And, you have these demons and these voices that are always inside you. I think in that case, and I used maybe it's a pretty harsh analogy, but it's that terrorist that lives inside all of us. It's that voice that those voices that those demons that you're constantly having to deal with on a regular basis. And that's part of what sabotages most people when it comes to reaching that goal. Because as you're getting closer to that goal, especially if it's a high goal, it doesn't get easier. Hopefully what you get from that, which again, someone like myself who's been in it forever, and I've had these conversations the night before or even the day of, like I did today, but it's like, you know what? I said, fuck that demon. No way. That demon does not win. That does not happen today. And if you're not willing to put up with those kinds of sort of scenarios because it's ongoing, it's one thing if you go into the gym. I see it all the time. It's very aggravating. What happens inside of most gyms is that people come to socialize and then a workout breaks out, and which is very different from, like a stated goal and somebody who's very serious about their training. It's a major serious distinction. And, so I have a decal in my facility. My gym, my personal training studio is like a museum the way I've got it set up and the decals that I have around the gym, because all those decals say something, they mean something, and they actually motivate me, even though I do all those deals. Like one of the decals is results are a reflection of the struggle. And that's huge, because that's exactly what bodybuilding is. That's exactly what any kind of serious training is. It's a struggle. And all you have to do is look around. All you have to do is look in the mirror to find out if you're struggling enough. Because I can assure you that most people are not struggling enough. Just look at them. And they'll use every kind of excuse that that they want to come up with just to let themselves off the hook. But you have to learn, you have that perfect willingness. You have to be willing to struggle every day and struggle hard and fail hard. And one of the things I like to, when I go into the gym, or when I finish my workout, I ask myself, because you have to constantly ask why, question yourself. It's good to question yourself. It's good to create a little doubt within yourself, not to the point where it destroys you, keeps you from moving forward. But I ask myself, did I play like a champion today? Did I really? That's that message in the mirror I talk about. Look at the mirror and look at yourself dead in the eye. Did I play like a champion today? Did I leave it all on the field? If you can answer that, look, we're humans, we're not perfect, and you're not going to always be able to leave it all on the field. Maybe you're not feeling well, but the point is this: you play to the best of your ability for all the minutes that you're in there training. If you can do that over and over again, okay, that's giving you the best chance to maybe reach the goal that you're looking to attain. There's never a finish line. It's you don't come to an end and say, okay, I made it. Because as we all know, your body after 3 days of resting, and I think it's important to rest, but your body after 3 days starts atrophying. Crazy, huh? I mean, it does that for a reason. It's true, actually, because your body is based on using as little energy as it has to exist. That's what happens when you stop exercising. But can you imagine all the work that you put in, and within 3 days of inactivity, muscle atrophy starts happening? That's just not right, as far as I'm concerned. That's fucking bullshit, but that's reality. So you have to learn how to deal with the emotional pain and embrace it. I can't wait to put myself in pain tomorrow morning. I can't wait. I just finished a fantastic workout, but I cannot wait to do that. I can't wait to experience not only emotional pain, but physical pain. I have to take myself there, or I can't walk out thinking that I did everything that I needed to do to reach my goal. And mind you, my dad told me something one time, and I think about that every once in a while. He told me, like, when I was in my 40s, he said, oh, this is a phase that you're going through, and, it'll pass. Because a lot of times, I mean, I have had things I do that are just phases. But I remember telling him, I go, there's no way. This is different. I didn't know how big a love affair I had at that point with bodybuilding. I couldn't have ever imagined that, especially because when I was 18 years of age, even older, the thought of going into a gym lifting weights, I couldn't even see that. And so to have this kind of feeling inside, it's something that you just know. I told my dad, no, I'm going to keep doing this. So here I am, 67 years of age. I'll be 67 here, May the 18th. And when I still go to the gym, I still have all those feelings. And look, and one of the things I talked about before is getting up on stage was a huge motivator. And I think it is for most of us who do. The thought that you're going to be up on stage in front of, lots of people and judges, it's horrifying in the beginning, but you get used to it. It's like that old saying, repetition is the mother of skill. That's true. You learn how to tolerate it in a different way, and it actually becomes fun if you embrace that. But to this day, I still have those same feelings. To this day, I go into I don't know, it's trance-like when I get into the gym. I was telling somebody today that I know when I'm in that zone, that training zone, when in between sets, I'm sitting down and I'm just like up against the wall. I mean, if you take a look at me, if you're somebody walking in the gym, you might be thinking, what's wrong with that guy? Guy's got like a death stare, just staring, not moving. Well, the whole time that I'm doing that, all I'm doing is focusing on the recovery. But it's a trance. It is that zone that I'm in. It's that one that I love. I'm in the fight. Rocky, in one of the Rocky movies, which is so true, it says it's you against you. That's what this is all about. At the end of the day, it's nice to have training partners, but it's you against you. You have taken yourself to war. And this is, maybe this is something that's just, I talk about too much, but I like to talk about the reality of that, because I'm just so mystified. I'm so disappointed, and I'm disappointed in myself as much as the people that start out to do something and they quit, they stop. Because I think if I'm working with that person, what could I have done better? Because I don't understand that really. I mean, I do objectively, I do understand, because I understand human nature, but it goes everything against what I believe in when I step into the gym to get in that zone, that trance. I remember as an athlete playing football, the same thing. I was experiencing these situations when I was playing football, in a stadium full of people yelling. It's like I don't hear anything. I'm in this tunnel. I'm so focused. The same thing happens in the gym. The last thing I'd like to cover is, I work with somebody right now that's getting ready for a competition. And they called me the other day and they said, I lost 7 pounds in a week, because he's on our online training program. One of the good things that happened as a result of me dealing with getting so upset about, personal trainers out there, because it gets me upset. So like, instead of me focusing on that, I thought, what can I do to make that better? Shut up, Leo. Stop bitching about it. So I created an online personal training program. And I can tell you this, I created an online personal training program that's better than a personal trainer, because there's more accountability, and more attention to detail. The app, it's intuitive, because it automatically changes according to how the physiology works. Look, that stuff can't happen in an app unless the person that's designing it has all this experience in the trenches, understanding when you need to change, when you need to not change. The app is not linear necessarily, but think about it. Your physiology when you're working out is not linear. And this is that's part of one of the things that stops people from continuing on, because they're expecting linear results. They want to either go up if they're putting muscle on, or if they're losing weight, they want to go, it's a sort of angle down till you get to your goal. And we all know that it's a stair step effect. Your body, it knows when to shut you down a little bit. We're constantly trying to trick it. But the point of the matter is, in this online app, it takes all those factors into consideration. So the person that's on our program, because they weigh in, we have photos that are being taken that they say, like this guy, when he said, and I already picked up on this once before when I got information from his app. I said, how in the hell can that happen? That you're losing weight 7 pounds in a week's time. There's something going on. And in this case, in this last conversation I had with this guy, he actually increased calories because I have people do that. One of the things I did in my heyday, and I think other athletes do this too, bodybuilders, is that during the week I have a certain amount of calories that I'm taking in, but on the weekend I always ramp my calories up. And depending what kind of shape I'm in and what body weight I'm at, for example, now I eat basically 2,100 calories on average during the week, which isn't a lot, but it works for me. Again, somebody is telling you that science, if you just eat this, and this is going to work. You don't know that. You can't tell somebody how to do this unless you've done this yourself. But what I do on the weekends is I ramp up. For example, where I'm at right now, body weight's 215 pounds. On the weekend, I eat 8,000 calories a day on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And the reason I do that, it's not just simply to eat that much, because I have to tell you, I feel better during the week when I eat less. And generally that is the case. You feel better when you're just a little bit underfed as opposed to stuffing yourself. But I'm doing that for a reason. It's to, when you put that kind of temporary stress on the body, it forces your body to secrete growth hormone. And there's some reactions that you get that actually makes your body more efficient in terms of losing weight, even putting on muscle. But again, you have to know how to do that. And you have to be somebody who's done that before, because when somebody comes in on Monday, for example, and they're weighing 7-8 pounds more, because it happens to me from Friday to Monday. Well, hell, if you haven't had that experience, if somebody hasn't had that experience and that happens, they're going to freak out. But what didn't make sense to me, and I'm going to get back to this point, what didn't make sense to me was this guy is on online training program. I know exactly where he's at with caloric intake. I know exactly, because I can predict results, not because I'm so much smarter than someone. I just have been around longer than most now, or a lot. I can predict where you're going to be based on the kind of training program that I've got you on, based on the kind of cardio. Training program would mean resistance training, obviously cardio, and the nutrition that I have you on, the way that I've got it scheduled. If I've got you eating more on the weekend and less, like I in this case that I'm talking about, I know where you're going to be. So this guy's like, I gained 7 pounds in 7 days, and I actually increased my caloric intake. And I already knew there's something going on. Something's not right. You're either not following the program, you're not telling me the truth. And why wouldn't you tell me the truth? Because if you're lying to me, and I'm not saying that this person is lying, I'm not, but I'm just saying, if you're not being, completely upfront about what's going on, how in the world can I possibly make a decision, the right decision, to keep you moving forward? And it's no different than if you're doing that to yourself. Look, it just so happens that I know I'm working with this person, but if they were doing that to themselves, the result's going to come out the same unless you know what's really going on. Like, I know if I gain 7 pounds over the weekend, that's normal protocol for the amount of calories that I'm taking in right now. I don't panic. Panicking doesn't do any good, because, as most of you know, it releases cortisol when you panic, freak out about shit like that. So what ended up happening is I started asking these questions. Okay, now these questions that I'm asking that person, because again, the minute I heard that, I go, there's something's off. He looks great. There's something's just not making sense. Well, it turns out, as we're analyzing this thing, I said, well, how many calories are you eating over the weekend? About so-and-so, about so many calories. That's not how I operate. That's bullshit. I operate to the nth degree. If I tell you to increase your caloric intake by 4,000 calories on such and such day, you better well stay right there at 4,000 calories, not about. So what they did, and it's okay. Look, it's human nature. I'm not beating up on the guy. It's just what happens. This is the real world of what happens. And then people wonder why they're not getting an exact result. If you want to get exact results, you need exact feedback. of everything that you're doing. And that's the reason why this app is better than a personal trainer, because my app holds you a lot more accountable. Just like this right here. I can pick up on what's going right and wrong immediately. That's how this is set up, because that's exactly how guys like myself, Robbie Robinson, Tom Platts, the guys that are really, they understand how their body works. This is what we do. So to be able to translate that over onto an app, I want to tell you something. If I say so myself, this app is remarkable. And what I love about it is that it's all based on, again, going back to the beginning of the show, I talked about, things that are just based in science. Nothing wrong with that. But this app is based on firsthand experience, based on how your physiology really operates, and backed by science and principles. It's the best of both worlds. And I'm so confident in this system that we're using. And look, this online personal training program applies to someone who is trying to add muscle. There's a muscle building component. There's also a health fitness component for those people that are more interested in that, tighten, tone, condition of the body. And then there's another component for the people that are a little older, like myself, but not who just want to get into the best health of their life. They want to improve their chances of vibrant longevity. So these are all different aspects. But I got to tell you something. With all that being said, it comes back to this: the building blocks of bodybuilding. It all starts there. Those are the factors. Those are the elements. The three components. The fourth component, when you add mindset, it applies in every one of those areas: muscle building, health and fitness, longevity. And I'll give you, as I'm going to exit out of this show now, and I want to end with this, referring to the building blocks of bodybuilding. When I had my 3 strokes 10 years ago, if I didn't have the building blocks and the knowledge of firsthand experience about bodybuilding and all those components, I can assure you that I would have never made the kind of recovery that I did. I'm back in the gym and training, and I'm responding in a way that I could have never dreamed of. Thank you, building blocks of bodybuilding. So not only does it help somebody who's trying to train in the gym for those various objectives, but it also applies to somebody who has stroke. This guy that I interviewed the other day on the podcast, he reached out to me and he said, this book that I wrote, 3 Strokes in 3 Weeks Saved My Life. He goes, that book was part of the reason why I made the recovery. I'm thinking, how does that translate? The guy didn't have a stroke. Well, come to find out what happened, which I think in some cases might have been even worse. This guy gets hit in a crosswalk when the sun was going down. The car that was driving didn't see him. This guy got hit by a small SUV that was going 40 miles an hour. Hit this guy. Guy goes flying in the air 40 yards. Can you imagine that? I can't. But he got onto my book because he had heard about me from my training days with Serious Growth, and because we've been around for 4 decades. And just for the hell of it, he saw that this book that I wrote, and he used that book. He said the lessons that I learned from there, even though I didn't have my stroke, he had trauma. He had to learn how to talk again. So he had trauma. He didn't have a stroke, but he had brain. He had, where he couldn't do things. He couldn't walk. He had to teach himself how to walk all over again, like I did. It came back down to those building blocks of bodybuilding. So important. So it doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't. You just have to tailor your program to the goals that you need. So if you're out there and you're trying to find somebody that's going to help you reach any kind of goal that you want, find an expert that is versed. I say in my, because of my age, I'm going to tell you that in most cases, the guys or gals that you're dealing with, if they have more real estate behind them than they do in front, which means they've been around a while, and they know their stuff to the nth degree, they're golden. That's where you want to put your money on that horse. That's going to give you the best chance to get the results that you exactly want. Till next time, go get some serious growth.
Thanks for listening to the Serious Growth Podcast. For more episodes like the one you just listened to, subscribe to us on your mobile podcast app and leave us a review. If you'd like to reach out, you can find us online at seriousgrowth.com. Until next time, train smart and train hard.